Welcome back to the Skinema podcast. This is episode 11, where today our main review is going to be Rebel Without a Cause. But, if you're watching this and you're wondering why there's been 2 weeks without episodes, we'll briefly go into it. We had some technical difficulties. We recorded 2 separate episodes back to back, how we typically do, and just we had problems with the video and audio, and ultimately it was just a better decision not to, try to recover those and just, take the time off.
It was impossible.
I think it was a good break for us, honestly.
It was impossible. The recordings, it wasn't going to happen. I spent a long time doing it, and we had to pull the plug as much as it pained me to do so. The plan went from getting both video, like how we usually do, to just audio, and then it wasn't going to happen, so we had to make the unfortunate decision to cancel those episodes, which was a shame because we had a blast, but here we are.
Yeah. I mean, it's all right. We're still, learning with this, so, it was bound to happen at some point. I think we've definitely course corrected and figured some stuff out, but yeah, that was, it was our Halloween special, which we mainly reviewed Bram Stoker's Dracula, and we also did a episode on Whiplash. But instead of completely washing those episodes, we're going to be briefly touching on them before we get into Rebel Without a Cause. But before we get into anything, Jathan, it's been a while since we recorded. What's been going on? Any news, any movie stuff you want to talk about before we jump into anything?
Yeah, could you pull up my profile on stream?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A big announcement is going to be made here, and it might be shocking to some of you, but one of the top 4 has been knocked out in favor of the Basketball Diaries, and
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to have to be its own episode, and I was definitely considering rewatching it, and I almost finished it, but I put it down earlier this week. I was going to log back-to-back Basketball Diaries, but I didn't end up doing it. But briefly, just very real story from, I forget the name of the dude it was based on, but it was originally a book, and then it got adapted into a movie, and I was surprised that not many people on Letterboxd checked this out. This is a movie I always heard about, but just never got around to watching it. And lately, I've been trying to do a better job of knocking out my watch list, and this was on it, and it surprised me. Leo DiCaprio, just excellent. This is probably where he got his first real critical acclaim. If you want to check me on that, Nick, you can. But
I would say Gilbert Grape, but I will check if Gilbert Grape even came out before. It did. It came out a few years before. So Basketball Diaries was a couple of years after, but yeah.
But beginning of his career, it's interesting to see him tackle these roles where he kind of does this in one battle after another, where he's making socio commentary on certain individuals in society with the character, and I won't dive too much into specifics, but this is a person that has potential and has that potential squandered because of some decisions he ends up making. But definitely check it out if you get the chance to. It was almost like Sopranos 2.0 with how many cameos there was. There was Lorraine Bronco, the dude who plays Uncle Pussy, and Chrissy from Sopranos. So that was a treat, and I think it would be remiss for me to not put it on my top 4, because I feel like when you I look at my aesthetic or story as a person, I feel like that definitely belongs in the top 4 with the other 3.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely like the movie. I don't think it, in my opinion, I don't think it's anything special, story wise or like I think Leo's great in it, but I don't think it's one of his performances that is jumping to the top of my head at like out of his best that I want to revisit. But I think it's good. I think the supporting cast does all right. I think the kids that are around him, obviously Mark Wahlberg is one of them, and the two other kids I don't know too well, actor wise, but I think they're fine. I think they're pretty high school cookie cutter type of characters. But yeah, I mean, I'd be down to talk about it one day. I think I would rather just do a whole Leo career breakdown than maybe just this one film. But it's pretty good. I mean, I don't know if shock's the right word, but I was surprised to see you put this in your top four. I mean, I know that. I mean, top four that doesn't mean it's gonna stay there forever. But yeah, I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I don't even take the top four too literally, but
Mm-hmm.
I have it as a 4.5. But I don't know if all of your top fours, like, I know it changes sometimes, but I don't know if they all must be like 5-star to be up there. But
No, I mean the one I have now is gonna be my set one, kind of forever. That matches my poster in the background, but I switch it up for Halloween and Christmas and stuff like that. But no, I mean I've had 4.5s in my top four, but yeah, I like Basketball Diaries. It's pretty good.
I also watched Robert Eggers' The Witch, which
Mm.
I believe in a previous episode I was like, okay, I have to watch one Robert Eggers film this Halloween, and it shocked me. I mean, the scene where, if I can spoil it real quickly, there's a scene where the boy, I forget the name of the boy, but like that entire sequence was just unreal to me. Like when he gets possessed, he like chokes up the apple, and then like
Oh,
he just dies right there. Like that was insane to me.
yeah.
Just from an acting perspective, like that kid had to be no older than 12, and that was just insanely impressive. Not many adult actors could pull off that scene. So it was just a great film where Robert Eggers, it kind of takes a while to get going, but once it gets going, it doesn't stop. And the runtime made it very digestible. And I just think it shows how talented Eggers is in being able to get these performances out of his actors.
Yeah, I like The Witch a lot. I've seen it twice now. Ralph Ineson, I think he's great. I think I mean he just has one of the coolest voices in the kind of industry now. But Robert Eggers, I think he's just so good. I think he's gotten better with each film pretty much. I rewatched Nosferatu for the last couple days of the Halloween season, and I love that film. I think Robert Eggers to me is like he's doing stuff that's just so great. I'm looking forward to his next film, the werewolf film. I really want him to do a pirate film one day. I don't know if he'll end up doing it, but I think that'd be really cool. But The Witch is really good. I really like the ending scene. Obviously, with the whole witch ritual at the end with Anya Taylor Joy, and this was a film that really put her on the map as well. This and what's it called? The M Night film, Split. This and Split really put her on the map, and she's one of my favorite working today. I love Anya Taylor Joy and hope she just keeps excelling and just doing great roles.
Alex Garland,
But
if you're watching this, please cast Anya Taylor-Joy as Queen America in Elden Ring. That ending scene, like, just it made the casting decision for me.
then yeah, you watched Nightmare on Elm Street for Halloween.
Classic.
Yeah.
Campy, but it's one of those films where the concept does so much heavy lifting where it brings up everything else in the film because of how good everything else is. Suspiria did that for me too, where it's like, okay, like some aspects of this film like may not be that legendary, but there's one aspect that like really clicks for me, and it just wraps the film in a neat bow, and it's like a meal that I enjoy. So
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm not
anyone
gonna go.
watches
No,
Nightmare on Elm Street with like a super critical eye.
no. I think the first one's the best as well.
I don't think it's the
I'm,
best, but it's
you like the third
definitely
one,
up
right?
there. Yeah, Dream Warriors is just like, I feel like it encapsulates the franchise and what it's about.
Yeah, the third one is good. That will be one I probably rewatch one day when I do come back to the franchise. But I'm not gonna go into my watches too much. I'll save that for the next episode. But the one thing I do want to touch on, because it's pretty much so the IFF Boston Film Festival that I've been attending the past few weeks is coming to a wraps for me. Tomorrow night at the time of this recording, the last film I'm seeing is The Testament of Anne Lee, starring Amanda Seyfried. And to my knowledge, it's one of the few screenings of this film thus far. I don't think it's been screened at many festivals yet, so that's pretty cool. But I've seen 6 out of the 7 films that I have, that I chose for the film festival, and I kind of want to briefly touch on just the film festival as a whole and each film. It's been a really cool experience. Obviously, this Boston one is a much smaller scale film festival. It's not like New York, London, or like some of the middle-sized ones where there's a bunch of different theaters and screens, and people come and speak on panels and stuff like that. This is pretty much just getting to see the movies early, but I don't say that in a negative way. It's just on a smaller scale, but they still have a lot of great movies, and I'll just quickly touch on each of them. It was just an accident. This was the first film I saw. It was all right. It's an Iranian film that, to my knowledge, actually, the people that filmed it, they actually weren't. I don't think they were allowed to film in Iran or wherever they were filming. They actually had to kind of sneak this film into the film festivals and release it in there because apparently they weren't supposed to be filming. But I thought it was pretty good. It was probably the funniest that I've seen in the film festival. It was really, really funny, but ultimately not one that's gonna stick with me towards the end of the year. Sentimental Value, I thought was really good. Stellan Skarsgård's in it. Dakota Fanning is in. Elle Fanning, sorry. Elle Fanning's in it. I forget the other actress name. Sorry, but the LA actress is really good. I think this film will probably get Oscar nominated for Best Picture. It will definitely get a Best Foreign Film nomination as well. I thought it was really good. I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I'm pretty sure it comes out this weekend or next weekend, the wide release. So I definitely recommend that one. The Mastermind, Josh O'Connor starring. I think he's fantastic in the movie. A lot of my mutuals on Letterboxd have really enjoyed this film. I didn't enjoy it as much. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I thought the performances were good, but ultimately I was kind of bored about halfway through this film. I don't know if it was just fatigue of being at the film festival back-to-back days or just tired from work, but I got really bored with it, and it just ultimately turned into a film that I didn't really want. But I still recommend it if you're a fan of Josh O'Connor, who we're going to be talking about a film he's starring in on our next episode. But next, Blue Moon, Richard Linklater, Ethan Hawke, really great performance. Single location film, dialogue heavy. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's really good. I think Linklater has made so many great films, especially with Ethan Hawke. I think they're a great collaboration together. The film I was probably most excited about to see was Wake Up Dead Man. That film doesn't come out on Netflix till December, and it's getting its limited release Thanksgiving weekend. So I saw it pretty early. I saw that on Halloween night. super packed at the film festival. I think every seat was taken in the theater. It was really fun, really funny, but the feeling that the first Knives Out gives me, it hasn't been replicated in number two or number three yet. So I don't know if I'm trying to compare it too much, but I haven't gotten that same feeling yet. I will actually be rewatching this in theaters in a couple weeks, so I'm interested to see if my rating goes up or down. I doubt it will go down, but it's good. I don't want to go into spoilers about it, obviously, because that film is a very spoiler-heavy film.
Can I ask one question about it?
Yeah, of course.
Um, we know this is a trilogy following. No.
Yeah, I think it will be more than three films. Okay. And it's not really. They're not.
That was about to answer my question. Then I was going to say,
well,
is
they're
this
not
conclusive?
They don't really. None of them connect. The only connection is Daniel Craig's character, the detective. Other than that, there's no real relation between any of the stories, which I like, honestly. But
me too.
It was really funny. I love murder mysteries, but I was let down with some decisions that they made in some of, let's just say, screen time presence of some actors, because this cast is phenomenal. I don't know how much you've dove into the cast of this film, Jathan, but it's a great cast.
I like what I see.
Yeah. And then the day of recording this, I actually literally just got back 40 minutes ago from seeing Is This Thing On, which is a Bradley Cooper directed film, his third feature film that he's directed. It stars Will Arnett and Laura Dern. I know you like Will Arnett from the Lego Batman movie, the voice of Batman. But he's phenomenal in this. I mean, he's mostly known for comedy roles, but he plays a very dramatic role in this. The funny thing is he plays a stand-up comic, so there's kind of some comedy elements in it, but I love films about, relationship stuff, marriage stuff. I think they're really interesting, and this film does that perfectly. It's probably my favorite. Not probably, it is my favorite so far out of the film festival. I gave it a 4 out of 5. It's really, really great. It comes out Christmas Day, I think, so in about a month, a little bit over a month. And then Testament to Ann Lee, at the time of recording this, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it a lot. The people that wrote and directing this are the same people that worked on The Brutalist, so I'm expecting good things from it. But I know I kind of yapped for a while, but this was my first true film festival. I saw 7 films, and I was, very pleased to see everything I did. Obviously, I like some more than others, but I've had a great time with it. It's been a long 2 weeks of the film festival, squeezing these films in on top of squeezing in my normal films I see at like AMC and stuff. But it's been really fun, and I just, if you have opportunity to see films early or go to independent theaters, please do. Obviously, I'm a big advocate of AMC because I think they're the best chain, and obviously what they do with their memberships. But all these films I saw at an independent theater. They're a non-profit theater, so it's really cool that they put on these events. And actually, people that go to see these really care about films, and it's just really nice to be surrounded by a community of people that actually, put their phones down in the theater and don't talk and actually watch the movie and, just have good discourse on it. But yeah, I know I yapped a little bit, but it's been a fun 2 weeks, and I just wanted to talk about it on here a little bit, and I'll probably be making a video on TikTok about it as well.
Nick, I'm glad you brought up your excitement for the film festival, because excitement has been something that I have been having trouble finding lately. I mean, my own professors in my classes, I'm not going to rag on them too much, but there was one discussion in class we had pertaining film, and he's like, films are done. Like, you guys need to be ready for the short form apocalypse. Like, in your resume, you should have some type of short form content in there. And it was so disheartening to hear that. And it's like, with all the advancements in AI, and they're like all this fear going around about these creative positions and how everything is going to be AI, and like it's just it's so demotivating to hear that. So I'm glad that you're able to get some of that magic around, because there's definitely some nihilistic attitudes toward the film industry right now.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to him, but he's a bum. Like, the only things that I think AI is going to really affect and take away jobs of is, like, it pertaining to, like, the film world and, like, TV and stuff like that is really, like, I think commercials are going to get affected a lot. Like, the Coca-Cola Christmas commercial is all AI this year, so that obviously took away people's jobs. But pertaining to film, films aren't done. Like, is he? I mean, shame on him, but they're not done. There's people that are true artists, true filmmakers that I'm sure AI is gonna sneak its way into more stuff and be, I guess, a tool, but it's not gonna
Replace.
It's not gonna be this. It's not gonna be this iRobot world where we're gonna go to the movies and all the actors are AI. Like, I'm not watching that, and I don't know many people that would watch that. So that's just nonsense.
I hope so.
Nonsense.
Because I'm on the front lines over here.
Well, AI is gonna affect every industry, but that's not like, if it does happen. I feel like it would only really get big in the streaming world. Like, there's not going to be a world where any real actors, any real directors, any real filmmakers are going to want to do anything with AI, because that's just absolute nonsense. Nonsense. I don't even have patience for that. Shame on that guy for even saying that, honestly.
What do you think about Guillermo del Toro's messages after each screening that he attends?
Yeah, good. I mean, that's the way most film fans, I would say probably all film fans feel. Like, it's nonsense. And
My thing, though, is like people think it's going to go away, but it's like you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
No. I don't think anybody thinks it's going to go away, but I think people are getting too kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, too anxiety written over it. Like, it's
Can
you're
you
not
really
getting
blame
rid
them?
of real. I'm just talking in the film space. I'm not talking about any other industry, because that's a whole other topic for debate. I'm just talking pure film. I'm not going to see in a film where there's AI actors, AI directors, AI scripts, knowingly. Like, that going into the movie. I'm not going to any of those. I think most film fans are not going to any of those. So
You watch The Brutalist.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's gonna be AI in films, but I'm saying it taking over an entire film and the whole film being AI. I'm not seeing that.
So what's the threshold like? Where do we cross the line?
Well, you just brought up The Brutalist. The Brutalist used AI in the sense of, I guess, their accents, but if Adrian Brody can do a fucking, what was his character? Polish or something. He could do the accent. I don't really understand why they did that for the accents, to make them more, like, better, but, like, I know there's a movie called Late Night with the Devil that came out last year. They used AI images in their film, but they were so quick and minuscule. Yes, I get people are probably upset about it, but if no one said anything about it, they probably wouldn't even know. I'm talking about where people are like, oh, AI is going to be like, actors are going to be AI. There's going to be full AI movies, like, instead of CGI and all that, because obviously CGI is a big part of the film world and that employs a lot of people. They think that, that's going to go away. I don't think so. I just don't think so.
I wish I was as optimistic as you are.
So you're pretty much you're getting upset with your professor, but you're pretty much agreeing with him
Well, I think the general
because you just said he
attitude.
said movies are done. Movies aren't
I
done.
don't believe movies are done, but I think that movies aren't the primary form of entertainment in the world anymore, and I don't think they're
No,
treated with the same
they haven't been
urgency
for
as they
years
used
though.
to.
They haven't been for years though. That's
We
nothing
had a
new. That's
pandemic.
been before then, before AI and all that.
I disagree.
Movies have been on a decline. Okay, but AI has really taken. We're having two different arguments now. AI has really taken over in the last, I would say,
3 years.
20 years. I would say 20 months. It has been getting to a point where it's like video form looks somewhat good. Movies have been on a steady decline in terms of number one entertainment for nearly a decade. So that's like two different things.
I mean, I could go on for another hour, but I think we'd just be talking in circles. But
Yeah,
I'm
I'm not doing that.
I
right
love doing what I do, and I wouldn't want to take that away from anyone, especially entry level positions where I think that is where it's most at risk. But today, we're going to move on to today's topic, which is Rebel Without a Cause.
now. No, we're doing the other two films first.
Oh, sorry.
So we'll spend probably maybe 15, 20 minutes total on both. But I'll just start off with Bram Stoker Dracula. We'll just do quick thoughts, what you liked about the film, what you didn't. We're not going to go plot details or anything like that because we've already talked about this before, but obviously that episode is not coming out. So, Jathan, I'll start off with you. What did you think about this film when you watched it? Your rating, expectations, what you liked, what you didn't like, briefly.
I liked it a lot. I thought the acting was pretty good across the board. I think, what's his name? Keanu Reeves was a little forgettable, but I think his performance was pretty passable. I don't think it deserves to be ragged on, but I thought it was a special film from Francis Ford Coppola. This is a story that I've seen told before, but not in this way. Dracula is more sympathetic in this version. I think the set design was superb. It won an Oscar for sound effects. The editing is definitely a plus here. I can see why you have it in your top four and just one of your favorite movies ever because there's a lot of things here to write home about, but I thought it was excellent. 5 out of 5 for me, no, but it deserves a 4.5 or 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, yeah, like Jathan said, this is top 10 film of all time for me. I put it in my top 4 for the Halloween season this year. Yeah, I've seen it a good amount of times. I think it's Gary Oldman's best performance. I think he is the best Dracula we still have ever gotten. It's my favorite Coppola. I mean, I like a lot of Coppola's films. It's very close between this and Apocalypse Now, but I think I give the slight edge to this just because I love the story of Dracula. I think you're getting so many great performances here. I think, I don't think like you were saying, I don't think Keanu's bad, but I think he's by far kind of the, feels like, I guess, saying this in the nicest way possible, like the imposter on here. I think everybody else is kind of just acting kind of circles around him, but Gary Oldman is great. I think Winona Ryder's so underrated in this. I think this is one of her best performances too that gets overlooked a lot. Anthony Hopkins is great. He has the great comedic relief and element that this film needs. I think Sadie Frost is good. Carrie Elves is good. Richard E. Grant is great. Tom Waits is really good. Yeah, and I actually watched this, I think, October 30th. I did a double feature of this and Nosferatu. Both of those films, 5 stars for me. I will never get sick of them. I think they're just some of the best pieces of art we have in film. And Dracula, as Jay Thom was saying, obviously that story is as old as, you know, as old as film, but I think it just, there's so many different interpretations of it, and I think Bram Stoker's Dracula by Coppola is the best, for me, at least. And then, obviously, so that was going to be our Halloween special episode. Obviously, we went into more depth, but we're not going to be spending too much time on it here. Why can't I find it? How long ago did... That's tucked away. We're moved past that at this point. But our other film that we did an episode on, and I'm not too upset about this one because in the future we plan on doing a big Damien Chazelle kind of director spotlight, which we're gonna go into all four of his films, and that I'm sure that episode is gonna be very long. So we'll touch on Whiplash more down the road, but we'll quickly circle back to it a little bit here. Obviously, Jathan, you want to kick us off with this because obviously this is a film that I feel like has been very influential in your film watching kind of, I guess, personality, taste.
Absolutely. It's one of those films that I'm going to look back upon when I think of the 2010s, and it's going to be one of the first films that comes to mind. Chazelle just does an excellent job of translating his student film into a feature that was Oscar worthy. The storyboarding here is ridiculous. I love the commentary he makes on people pursuing passion and the potential teachers and people in their lives that might deter them from this path or just be a bad influence on them. It's just a great watch every time. J.K. Simmons, what hasn't been said about him in this film, but it really was one of those films that I wouldn't say made me realize the magic of film, but more look at it more analytically, and it does a great job of that. Yeah.
I watched this obviously for the film review. This was my second time watching. I had seen this film probably when I was a sophomore in high school, so it had been a good chunk of time. I remember the first time I watched this movie, it was one of the first... I mean, I've always loved movies, but this was definitely one that stuck out to me and stayed with me for a long time. I think, obviously, the filmmaking is superb in this. I think Chazelle's jump from his short film to this is like night and day, and I think the short film was really good as well. I don't think it's a bad short film, but this is in a whole other stratosphere of just how great it looks and how good it's put together. But I think the performances here is what makes me love this film. I think obviously J.K. Simmons won the Oscar for this, deservedly so. I think he is one of the most despicable antagonists in a film I've ever seen. I really hate Fletcher, but that's because J.K. is so good at acting in this. He brings the character to life. I think he's just... Obviously Fletcher knows music better than probably anyone, or at least one of the best music minds in the world, and obviously he expects greatness, but I think he crosses the line, at least for me. He crosses the line in just not even trying to on a musical teacher way, just on a human disrespect way. I think he just is a disrespectful guy, but it's up for debate. I get why people do like the character. Obviously he made Miles Teller's character Neiman a very great drummer, but I think he could have done it in different ways, or a little bit of a toned down way, in my opinion. But I think Miles Teller gets overlooked in this film a lot. It's great. I think he showcases... In the first half of the film, I think he showcases fear and uncertainty really good, because obviously he is a freshman at the beginning of this film in I forget the musical school name. Schaefer, yep. But yeah, he's just a very wide-eyed kid who wants his opportunity and shot, and then obviously once he meets Fletcher, it's kind of I don't want to call it a downward spiral because obviously he becomes very great, but obviously his life has to shift drastically. He has to cut out like his family. He has to cut out. He kind of has to stop his relationship, and pretty much every waking second of his life is dedicated to drumming. But I think his performance gets overlooked, and I think he's just so great in it. And I think this film, and I'm not just saying it. I mean, I'm sure everybody has said this, but I think it has one of the best ending sequences in a film I've ever seen. It's just phenomenal. How Chazelle edited that together and did the sound design for that is like second to none. It's perfect in every sense of the word, and honestly, I wish I would come back to this film more and more because when I did rewatch it for this review, I was just it kind of set me back to like high school when I discovered this for the first time and just was completely like just like shell shocked by it. I think Chazelle has had a lot of great success early in his career. Some people are kind of indifferent about Babylon and First Man. I still haven't seen First Man yet, but I think the guy, throughout all his films, I think he has just improved and got bigger and bigger and bigger, and I can't wait to see what he does next. But yeah, if you don't have anything more, I think we can move on to our main review. But like I said, obviously those film reviews were quick, but I wanted to make sure we at least touched on them a little bit because we put in a lot of effort going into those episodes, so I just wanted to touch on them a little bit. Plus, both those films mean a lot to me and to Jathan as well.
I went to a jazz orchestra maybe a year or two after I first watched that film, and it is honestly pretty scary because the players like are giving it their all. Like,
yeah,
it might have just been my school, but like jazz is something that like requires so much attention to detail for it to pull off successfully. So like to see that was like really cool, but also like terrifying because I thought the conductor was gonna fucking snap at any second.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good segue to get into our main film review, Jadon, if you want to kind of kick this off a little bit.
Yeah, so Rebel Without a Cause is a movie starring James Dean, and it follows his character Jim, who moves into a new school, and he has to adapt to the pressures around him, and just being a teenager and having all this angst, and you see how that affects him and one of his friends in particular who kind of goes rogue. So I watched this, I think a year and a half ago now. My mom recommended it to me, and it was how I discovered James Dean, who was a huge icon who lived a very short life. I think he died at 23 or 25. I think he died a year after this film was made. It might have been that same year, but he represents rebellion. He represents teenagers because at the time in Hollywood, they did not cast a lot of teen characters or just write about those kinds of characters and just general struggles of being constrained in these social boxes. So, what did you think, Nick? Have you seen any other James Dean films?
No, this was my first one. I looked it up, and I feel like this is kind of known by people as well. He only had 3 real feature films. Obviously, this was one of them. I forget the names of the other. East of Eden and Giant, I think, were the other 2. I will be watching those down the road, of course, but I haven't. This, like I said, this was my first true feature film with him. But I feel like James Dean is a name that everybody knows. Obviously, like Jathan was saying, he had a very short life, very short career. He died at like 24, I think. I think at the time of when he filmed this. I think he was like 23 or 24, and then he died shortly after this came out. But in his short career, I know he got 2 Oscar nominations, back to back years for Best Actor, which is crazy. I think he was like 22, 20. Yeah, I think he was like 22, 23 when he got his actor noms, and I just turned 22, and that's that's crazy for your first feature films to get Oscar nominated. But I really I enjoyed this largely due to his performance. I think as far as the story, and we'll get into it a little bit more as we keep talking. It's fairly simple. But at the time it was kind of innovative because there wasn't a lot of teen, like you were saying, teen high school movies like this that were coming out. Obviously, down the line, the genre boomed with like Ferris Bueller's Day Out. Obviously, we reviewed why am I blanking? Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Obviously, Jeff Spicoli is kind of, you know, there's elements of that character that have definitely were inspired by James Dean's character in this. But yeah, I think just his performance in this, it was just like head and shoulders above everybody else in the movie. And I'm not saying everybody else in the movie is bad, but he's just like really operating on another level. And he was an actor that, like I said, everybody knows the name, but you know, his career was so short lived that I was like, was he really that good, or was he just kind of like the hot shot? You know, obviously he's a very good looking guy. Was he just like the cool new hot shot in town? But no, he had the stuff to you know, he probably would have had a very, very, very good career. But yeah, I was impressed by him. I think, like I said, we're gonna get into a little bit more. As far as the story, I think it's all right. But yeah, I was pretty impressed with this.
James Dean just knocks it out of the park for me. Like you said, I knew the name, wasn't too familiar with him as an actor, but he has all the chops. I mean, he has this depth about him that you can't really like put a name on it, but it's just so gravitating towards the scenes he's in. There's one scene with him and a cop, and it kind of gives you the first unveiling of the mask with his character, and
Yeah.
you can tell that he puts on a front, or like he acts a certain way to get a certain reaction out of people, and that to me is very three-dimensional. And he's your he's your favorite actor's favorite actor for a good reason.
Yeah. A scene that really stuck out to me, and it made me sit up in my seat because I watched this last night very late, but I was engaged with it throughout. But if you're looking at the video right now, circling it with my mouse, the scene in the house with his mom and dad. I think it's probably about midway through the film where he just kind of snaps on them and kind of calls them both out on their stuff. He calls out his mom because his mom is really the one that wants their life to be really perfect and doesn't want to address any of the bad stuff, because he in the film they talk about it. He's notorious for, you know, he'll get in trouble a little bit and then his family will relocate to somewhere else, and they've done it a bunch of times. And James Dean's character, let me get the name, Jim. Jim is kind of sick of it. He's tired of moving to new towns and meeting new people and going to new schools, and he pretty much confronts his mom in this, saying like, you know, we need to like live in our shit. We need to deal with our problems instead of just constantly running away from them. And I thought that was really good. And you know, his mom was kind of on the top of this, and it shows like the power dynamics in this scene too, because his mom is like on top of the stairs, and then as like the argument continues, like James Dean like climbs the stairs in the argument, so it's like getting on her level, and then he flips around and starts yelling at his dad, pretty much saying to his dad like, you need to be a more emotionally available and like a better man for me, because his dad is very, I would say, the backseat parent. He's very kind of like just goes with the flow of what the mom says. He's not very what's the word I'm looking for? totally blanking on words today. He's not. He doesn't like confrontation. He doesn't like confrontation at all. He would rather just sweep things under the rug, not really talk about them. In the beginning of the movie, when James Dean is, I guess, when Jim is drunk and he's at the police station, his dad is like trying to talk to the cops and like clean up his son's act and like sweep it under the rug. And Jim in that moment's like, I think he literally says like, not verbatim, but he says something along the lines of like, "No, Dad, like I messed up, like I gotta pay the consequences." And his dad's like, "No, no, no, we'll make sure you're all right. We'll clean this up. Like we'll figure this out." It's like his dad is just constantly trying to avoid stuff as well. And
That scene
yeah,
means a lot to me because I don't know how you were raised, Nick, but I feel like I really identified with James Dean in this scene because there's a lot of like hurdles that I ran through life where like when I was that age, and it's like my parents would like kind of not brush it off, but they would like acknowledge that it's normal and then just kind of like let me deal with it. I guess that was their way of parenting me and teaching me. So it really made sense why James Dean is so pissed in that scene, because it's like a kid just died from playing chicken with him earlier, and it's like you see this same issue with all the other kids in the film where their issues aren't taken very seriously and they're not really left to process with it because they are told that it's normal and it's what kids do and shit, but it still affects them in a way. So I appreciate just the writing here and what James Dean does to convey his character's frustration is very real to me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like I said, I like his character a lot, and I definitely I felt for him, but I would say in terms of relating to me, not I couldn't really relate to the character too much. I think his parent dynamic is different from my parents. I mean, my dad was very strict, and there was no sweeping stuff under the rug. If I messed up or did something wrong, we were addressing it, and there was consequences to be paid. But I definitely I thought it was very admirable because obviously Jim is a high school kid in this, so I'm guessing he's probably 17, 18 years old, and the way he kind of steps up to his dad and pretty much tells him like, you just need to be a man, like you need to like face the problems and stop like just writing them off as I'm just some dumb kid. I thought it was very like admirable. I think for a high school kid to do that is very tough, because you look at your parents as like, at least for me, you look at your parents as like superheroes that can't, they can't make mistakes. They know everything, but at the end of the day they're just human beings, and I feel like once that realization hits in for a kid, I mean, I'm not going to get into specifics about my life, but I remember that moment when it hit me like, oh, my parents are just people. They're not like Superman and Supergirl, like, you know what I mean? They're not like these like perfect beings. It's kind of it's a scary moment, but I feel like it's very kind of what's that term from Spider-Verse, canon event moment for kids when you realize like, your parents are just people at the end of the day. They're not just like these perfect android beings that know everything. But I think the one thing about this film that honestly it didn't take me out, but it like aggravated me a little bit, because this is a big argument with films now, and I know you mentioned it a lot with like Stranger Things and stuff, that like older, not older actors, but actors in like their 20s, early 30s will play high school kids, and like people like they're too old to do all that. James Dean was 23, 24 when he filmed this, and he's playing like a 17, 18-year-old. I think he looks like way too old for the character. And honestly, like he's not that much older, so it's not like it was a bad casting, but he seems way too mature, and he seems way too put together and way too cool to be a 17, 18-year-old, and I was like, I don't know. I'm like, this guy seems like he has a mortgage and 3 kids and a wife. He doesn't seem like a high school kid that's trying to figure it out. But that's not like
I don't want to seem like a contrarian, but it was not a problem for me at all. But I guess it's kind of like subjective because, like you said, Stranger Things, that is what really takes me out of the story. And the recent trailer, like, I almost laughed at it, but
But those Stranger Things kids, they're not even that old though. They're like the same. They're in the same boat. I think the oldest one is like 23.
when they're still riding bikes and they're like, they have extremely defined jaw lines, like Millie Bobby Brown in real life, like, is about to have a kid. Like, it's hilarious to me. Like, I just cannot ignore it, but.
That James Dean jawline.
But I don't know. He kind of played into it a little bit. Like he was the bad boy like loner that like I guess he was casted for his attractiveness because that's kind of like the character he plays, like the loner that like shouldn't really be a loner because he's actually a badass. But what did you think of since we're on the topic of character, what did you think of Plato, Jim's friend in this?
I thought he was not that Jim is like a not interesting character, but I think Plato. It would have been cool to get more solo scenes with him because I think he was a really interesting guy. To me, it seemed like he, and I think this is cool for like a '50s film. He seemed like he was a guy that I would say is probably bisexual because he seemed like he kind of loved Jim. Yeah, I feel like he loved Jim, not just as a friend, but like was in love with him a little bit. And obviously, his family life is like probably the worst in the film. Obviously, what's the girl's character's name? Judy. Her family life's not that good. Her dad's really awful to her. But Plato, correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he just raised by like a nanny? His dad's not in the picture, and the mom's yeah. Yeah, so he really has no like true parental guidance or help or love at all. So he's just like, your classic high school ragtag, you know, not paying attention to class, getting into trouble constantly. No, he has no sense of direction or discipline. Ultimately his character, I mean, I'll just say it, he dies at the end of the film, but it's like a tale that's as old as time. Like a lot of kids like that don't have, parent good adult figures in their life. They're kind of just left to the wolves, and kids need their parents. You can't grow up and learn right from wrong just on your own, and just when you're hanging out with kids that are your own age constantly without any repercussions, bad things are going to happen. And obviously that's what happens to the character Plato in this. But I think he was a really interesting guy that I think it would have been cool to get more solo stuff with him. But obviously this film was focusing on Jim.
And I think he's definitely a reflection of just how some people are treated who are misunderstood from first glance, and he definitely longed for a form of acceptance, and I feel like Jim was the first person to see him for who he was in this story, and I think that's why I got so attached to him, because it was the first person, and whoever knows how long that actually gave a shit about him. And I definitely think he was attracted to him in some form, but I guess we'll never know the depth of it because he ultimately ends up dying during his paranoia at the Griffith Observatory, and it ends tragically because it shows the underbelly of this type of parenting. And I think it was kind of glossed over, but thematically, it dealt with the 50s like style of parenting with what's the girl's character?
Judy.
Yeah, her dad. You can tell he's just like textbook definition one of those guys from like the silent generation or boomer who just like is a total prick, like uh doesn't really think about emotionally connecting with his children. And I think that should have been explored more, but I think it really benefited from just that icing on the cake right there thematically.
Yeah. And I will say too, the I don't want to, because this will sound negative. I didn't love the scenes. I guess kind of chunk of the film that was leading up to the observatory, like mansion death scene. I felt like it was just dragging a little bit, honestly. Where it was just like Judy and Jim and Plato just like, I don't know. I feel like they were just like talking, and it was just like normal dialogue that kids would have, like talking about their family life and school and like what they plan to do with their lives and stuff like that. But it felt like a little too shoehorned in there. But I guess they needed it because it I guess it added more emotionality to the ending. But I don't know. That's the one part of the film where I was like, oh, I don't love this. But it doesn't.
I don't think it's a perfect film, or it's not like that. I'll say it's a classic, but I won't like put it in the same tier as like some other films that came out at the same time, like any of Hitchcock's films. But I think it's a very it's worth the watch, absolutely, and I think it's still relevant in today's age in some way, and especially if like you're a youth right now, I think you should watch this.
Yeah, and I didn't know that Nicholas Ray directed this because his film They Live by Night actually bought that on the Criterion Collection, in the July sale that they did this past summer. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And I know In a Lonely Place, I've heard a little bit about it. I know obviously Humphrey Bogart was a big actor in the 40s and 50s. But I'd be open to checking out more of Nicholas Ray's films. This was a little fun fact that I looked up when I was looking up stuff about this film. The ending shot of this film where it's just the guy kind of walking, was actually the director Nicholas Ray. I didn't know that while watching, but that was a little cool, I guess, Easter egg fun fact type of thing. But yeah, I had a pretty good time with this overall. I was worried because I watched this at the time of recording this. I watched it the night before, very very late. I started at like 12 a.m. and I was worried that I was gonna get bored or sleepy or tired, but I was locked into it. It's largely due, like I said, to how good James Dean was and just how confident he was leading a film like this at such a young age.
Yeah, I'm really glad you got to check this out. And I did go to an antique store, I think a couple days before I watched this. And I just went for the hell of it because I love thrifting and that type of like just seeing all this art and stuff. And I came across this book that I ended up grabbing, talking about. It's a picture book. It's going into James Dean, why he was such an icon at a young age in his career and stuff. And I just love going through these types of books. I mean, some people do it for the aesthetics, but like for me, it's just like it pulls me in, and it works similarly to the magic that films have. And they talk
Mm-hmm.
about in the opening pages, they kind of go into uh, him as an actor and how much he kind of put himself into the character of Jim in Rebel Without a Cause. And they kind of go into that here. I'll just read a passage. Jimmy threw himself hungrily upon the world like a starving animal that suddenly finds a scrap of food. The intensity of his desires and his fears can make the search at times arrogant, egocentric, but behind it was such a desperate vulnerability that one was moved, even frightened. He seemed to sense his own extra intuition and to see that it was of no use, noted film critic David Thompson. His resignation and fatalism showed us the restricted personality of the world he inhabited.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm only about like 10 or so pages in, but I love it. He's definitely
Yeah.
a legend.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I pretty much got on it. For this episode, we're not going to do like a little game outro. We're just going to wrap it up here. But if there anything you want to add, Jathan, before we sign off for episode 11?
I just want to say that despite the hiccups with production on my end, that I'm really excited about this podcast. I think we have a lot of good content on the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think breaks are healthy, especially to college students wrapping up their collegiate careers.
Very busy as well.
Yes.
2 different time zones.
Yeah, we could go on, but I enjoy being here, and it really allows me to express this genre that honestly keeps me awake and out of bed every morning. So I know we kind of touched on earlier how there's not too much optimism and there's some concern about advancing technologies and the future of the industry. And if you look at like Hollywood, like it's not looking good, but I think podcasts like these are important in keeping the magic alive and reinvigorating it for other people, and it certainly has for me.
Yeah. I'm just going to touch on this at the end of this episode, and I'll do it for the next. Just a little kind of outline for the rest of the year for in terms of our recording. So this episode is going to be dropping November 10th. We'll have another episode November 17th, and then this was a planned break that we had planned already, but November 24th, there will be no episode that day. We'll just be taking the week off. I'm going to be away traveling. It will give Jathan a nice break as well, heading into the Thanksgiving school break. But then December, we're just going to have, some fun. We're just going to be doing some Christmas stuff. Maybe we'll do a film that's not Christmas related, but I know for sure I would like to try to get 3 Christmas episodes in, and then it's kind of full steam ahead into the end of the year, and hopefully, I think, are you coming back home in January?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll probably, I don't think we'll record in person together because I don't know
Maybe
the
we
logistics
could.
of that, unless, if we figure something out, maybe, but, I don't know if I really want to record in my house any other place than my bedroom, so we'll see about that, but we will definitely be watching movies together, over break, so that'll be nice. We'll probably just, watch a couple movies together and then record the pods for them after that. So that's definitely on the horizon. Then I know end of year stuff we're gonna be doing, some awards predictions. We'll probably be doing a recap of our, favorite films of 2025, stuff like that. So there's a lot of good stuff coming in the next few months.
We're going to do that in-person podcast. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm not gonna stress about it right now, but yeah, that's it for episode 11, and we'll see you guys next week.